Okay, we're here with Bebe, my Bebe, and it's again September the 5th, Labor Day of 2005, and we're going to ask her a few questions about her childhood and growing up and being in Georgia and all of that. So the first question, start out, where were you born and what year was it?
Born in Acre, Georgia, 1925.
Do you know how old your parents were when you were born?
My daddy was 30 and my mother was 20.
Oh wow, big age difference between them. What's the name of your sister and how many years are you apart?
My lovely sister's name is Joan Smithwick and we are 12 years apart.
And tell me about growing up with Joan.
Oh, I just thought she was the most beautiful thing in the world. I'd always wanted a brother or sister. Didn't think I'd ever have one.
Yeah.
Of course, after that long time. But it was, she was the joy of my life.
And why did your parents, was she a surprise 12 years later? Or
Yes.
she was a surprise?
Yes.
You would assume with 12 years, but you never know.
Yeah.
What was a typical day like when you were a child, a summer day? What would it look like, a summer day out of school? What would it start with? What would you do all day?
You know, I really don't remember.
A summer day. What about a school day? Do you remember what school was like?
Oh, yes, we, all of us had girls that get up and get our hair fixed just right and our makeup just right because we knew we were going to see the boys when we got to school. Yeah. That's what we thought of about going to school.
That was your favorite subject?
Yeah, right.
So what, when you went to school, what was school like when you were little?
Very different from school for young people nowadays. Or maybe I was not aware of the dangers and the temptations that are present now. They might have been present then, but I didn't know them. But
right.
It was good growing up in a small town.
You enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
What did y'all do? You know, Papa had said some of the things they did at recess. What did you do for fun when you were on your recess period?
Well, we'd play basketball as long as the coach would let me stay on the court. I was too slow. He'd say, "Holder, get off the court. You're too slow."
Oh no! Is that where I got that?
I got to watch.
How funny! So you like basketball? What else did y'all? What else did you play? Other sports, or was that kind of the main sport?
That's kind of it.
That was what you played. What about your parents? What were their names? What did they do as jobs? And what did they like to do for fun?
My daddy's name was John Evan Holder, and he worked for the railroad. He was an agent, railroad telegrapher.
And what about your mom?
And Mama's name was Mabel Moselle Stevens Holder, and she worked for the Georgia Forestry Commission later in her life. Mm-hmm.
What about religion? What were their religions, and do you know where those roots came from?
They were Methodists, but they had both been raised Baptists.
Okay.
Because my grandfather Stevens was a Baptist minister.
Really? And which side would Stevens on? That's Big Mother's? Big Mama's? Okay, Big Mama's dad.
In fact, he built the first Baptist church in that part of the country.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And
you
that
know
was in Alabama.
Okay. Do you know the name of that church by any chance?
No, I don't.
No, I don't. Okay. Tell me about going to college. So what did you study and what were some of your fondest memories?
Well, the first year that I went to college, my daddy made me go to Alabama Women's College because all of his sisters had been to that college.
Okay.
And I was so homesick, I cried for a year, so they let me come home and transfer to Mercer then, where I had friends that went to school there.
So Mercer was near where you grew up?
Uh-huh.
Now where is Mercer University
It's
exactly?
in Macon, Georgia.
Okay. And what did you study there?
I studied journalism and English.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And any fondest memories of college? Was that a pretty fun time?
It was. It was a real fun time. It was a carefree time, but, you know, still a troubled time, too.
Tell me how you met Papa.
He belonged to a fraternity, and I belonged to a sorority, and his fraternity had asked my sorority no, he didn't belong at the time to sorority. The sorority that was rushing him asked the fraternity that was rushing him asked my sorority if we would date some potential members. So we said we would. And
Yeah.
I drew him. Well, he drew me, whichever
Yeah.
it was. We walked down the stairs and, just we lined up like that because nobody was
neat.
assigned to anybody.
How funny. And your
Well,
sorority was, what was the name of your sorority?
Alpha Delta Pi.
And what was the name of his fraternity?
SAE.
SAE. Okay,
Mhm.
Sigma.
Alpha Epsilon.
Yes, okay. How did you know you wanted to marry him, or when did you know you wanted to marry him?
Well, I guess I just knew when I met him that he was the type man I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
That's great. And how long did y'all date? Uh-oh, he's getting excited over there.
We dated a year at Mercer, and then he was sent to pre-midshipman school in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and then to midshipman school at Northwestern University in Chicago. So he was gone about a year, and then when he came back, we didn't get to have a big wedding because he was en route to an assignment to ship. So we met in Atlanta and got married with my mother and daddy and uncle and aunt with us. And then we went to Miami. No, we came to Texas because I hadn't met his parents. He knew mine. But
When you were married, you hadn't met him?
Mm-mm.
Oh, how neat.
So we came, and I just knew what a wonderful family I had become a part of when I met him. Then we went to Miami. I'll tell you what, Tex was talking about his parents. I was so impressed with them when I first met them because they would talk about their past.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to a church called St. Olave's Kirk about maybe 10 miles from the Gap. And they'd get up, regardless of weather, get dressed, get in the wagon, and drive that far to church
Wow.
every day. And I was so impressed with that because I had never, I had never ridden in a wagon anywhere.
Yeah.
No, certainly not dressed up, going to church, ready to go to church.
Was that your honeymoon in Miami?
Well, we stopped off in New Orleans, didn't we?
Oh, was that where your honeymoon in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's pretty neat. So, and we know that you might have conceived on your honeymoon. Never know.
Yes.
And your first child. Tell me about having your first child.
Well, it was so exciting, but I missed Tex not being there.
Yeah.
When he was born, but I had so much support, and of course the funny part about it was Mother and Daddy were just so ecstatic when Butch was born, but when I told them I was pregnant, they were very happy.
Oh, yeah. Well, early
because
for like,
the Big Mama had said, I talked to Tex.
oh
But anyway, we were happy it turned out that way anyway.
Yeah. What do you think made your kids were all very high achievers, and they really sought, great educations and great things in life? Do you think there's something you taught them that made them?
I think they just knew it was expected of them.
That's
To do
great.
that. That's what they were expected to do, maybe.
Yeah, and a good expectation. That's great. And the last question: what wisdom and life lessons would you pass on to your grandchildren, your great grandchildren? What would you want, for them to
To
know about you?
always keep God the center of your life.
Great advice. Thank you.